Okay, so now we are at, as per section 17 of Indian Contract Act, fraud means an act of committed by any party to a contract with the intention to deceive of another. Means if there is an intention to deceive another, then this act committed by any party to the contract can be termed as a fraud as per Indian Contract Act 1872. And it is a section 17 of Indian Contract Act where fraud has been defined that any person, any party to the contract commit an act with an intention to deceive another. Here is an integral part, it is intention. Intention is a important part here. Now the term fraud for the first time has been defined in Companies Act by way of an explanation. In explanation of section 447 of the Companies Act, basically fraud means, we'll discuss whatever be the notes I have written there. Now what is the meaning of the fraud? We are basically talking about this as per the Companies Act 447. We have already heard about the 447 punishment and every other thing. So here term fraud means fraud in relation to the company of affairs or any body corporate include any act, omission, concealment of any fact or abuse of position committed by any person or any other person with a convenience in any manner with intent to deceive. Here is also intention or intent part is important, to gain undue advantage from or to injure the interest of the company or its shareholder or its creditors or any other person, whether or not there is any wrongful gain or wrongful loss. It could be a loss, it could be a gain. Okay, in both the cases fraud can be termed here as per section 447. Any act, omission, concealment of any fact or abuse of position. Okay, we basically have to remember these three words: any act, omission, concealment of any fact or abuse of position committed by any person. Basically abuse of position कौन करेगा? जो उसके पास power है. The main person will do that abuse of position, no? Or basically there is an intention to gain some undue advantage from it. Basically undue advantage लेना चाहते हैं वो. So this is the major purpose for which fraud can be termed. Now wrongful gain. Wrongful gain means unlawful means of property to which person gaining is not entitled. wrongful gain का मीनिंग हो गया कि भाई वो गेन नहीं होना था पर्सन को एंड ही हैज़ ऑलरेडी गेन दैट प्रॉपर्टी. wrongful loss to mean loss of unlawful means to any property to which the person losing is legally entitled. Okay, the person is losing, he is legally entitled and it's a unlawful means of any property. Now section 244 JJ Irani committee gives limit if any amount involved fraud at least 10 lakhs or 1% of, basically will come to that point also. We have basically made it to a short notes that fraud can be intention, circumstantial evidence we also need to check. ये intention कैसे prove होगी? The company में there is a fraud, then there is an intention. How we can prove that intention? There has to be some circumstantial evidence for that particular act, then it could be termed as fraud. And there is any unlawful gain or unlawful fraud के लिए क्या चीज़ें चाहिए? There must be intention. Intention will prove by circumstantial evidence or unlawful gain or unlawful advantage, unlawful loss. Okay, now Satyam scam basically is the major point here. Now intention to commit a fraud. An unintentional or mere accidental omission or commission generally will not stand the test of legal scrutiny. Basically intention can be provided by looking into attending factors relating to the, basically attendant factors देखेंगे, वही circumstantial evidence they are talking about. Now Honorable Supreme Court in Ketan Parekh versus SEBI observed that whether a transaction has been executed, कोई transaction हुई है with the intention to manipulate the market or defeat its mechanism will depend on the intention of the parties, which could be inferred from attending circumstances. Basically किससे वो पता करेंगे? Attending circumstances, because direct evidence may not be available in such a case. Then in this case they will go to the circumstantial evidence or attending circumstances से they basically go, because their direct evidence is not available in such a case. Then unlawful loss also here can also be termed as a fraud as per section 447 of Companies Act. Contract Act का section, there is section 17 of Contract Act, where party to the contract by any party or to the contract with an intention to deceive another commit any act, then it can be termed as a fraud as per Indian Contract Act section 17 of Indian Contract Act 1872. Okay, we have to read whole at the examination. Now unlawful gain or unlawful loss, as we already know, unlawful gain also and unlawful loss also can also be termed here, no? Basically they won't ask you a definition of what is unlawful gain or loss. It's basically for your general understanding. Okay, now section 447 in various places in this act. Section 447 बहुत सारे cases में आता है. Then there has mentioned section 447 of the Companies Act is overarching section that deals with the fraud, providing by definition as well as punishment for the same, such as cogent provisions was missing in the companies, not so relevant. Then companies, incorporation of companies, charitable companies, criminal liability, misstatements in prospectus, punishment for fraudulent inducing person to invest money. We have to read all such sections, Okay, let's go one by one. Then section 7 of incorporation of companies. This section deals with a document to be filled with the ROC. Means incorporation of a company is related, and then ROC comes into the picture. When we do any incorporation, we have to submit all documents to whom? To ROC itself. Then ROC comes into the picture, and this section deals with the documents to be filled with the concerned ROC, not any ROC, concerned ROC, जिस एरिया में है, जिसको अथॉरिटी है उसी ROC को. Okay. For incorporation of company, it has been stated that if person furnish false statement, information, incorrect particular or suppress material information, suppress कर रहा है material information को, then the person is liable to action under 447. It could be termed as a fraud. Basically उन्होंने सबको सारे sections को concise form में एक जगह लिख दिया है, और they have already told कि कहाँ पे ये सेक्शन 447 लग जाएगा. अगर इनकॉर्पोरेशन के केस में एज पर सेक्शन 7 ऑफ कंपनीज एक्ट, इफ़ द पर्सन कोई मिस स्टेटमेंट की है, कोई मटेरियल इंफॉर्मेशन को सप्रेस किया है, एंड देन incorrect information have been filed by any person, then that can be termed as a fraud as per section 447. Then section 8 of charitable companies. Section 8 subsection 11 provides that for punishment for default in compliance with the requirement laid in section, in the proviso of subsection 11, it provided that every officer in default shall be liable under section 447 if it is proved that the affairs of the company were conducted fraudulently. अगर कुछ there has been an act which where it is proved that the company's affairs were conducted fraudulently, then it could be termed as a fraud, and every officer in default shall be liable for action under section 447. Okay, if section 8 subsection 11 provides for punishment for default in compliance with the requirement laid in the proviso of subsection 11. Basically, in subsection 11 proviso, they have said that if the officer in default or the person has been failed to comply with the compliant with the requirement as per the Charitable Companies Act, then officer in default shall be punishable under section 447 if the affairs of the company conducted in a fraudulent manner. Then criminal liability, here it is something which have to be scared of. That is criminal liability for misstatement in prospectus. If somebody has misstated information in prospectus as per section 34 of the Companies Act. Section 34 deals with a situation where every person who has authorized the issue of the prospectus carrying misstatement shall be liable under this provision. Shall be liable. Okay. If any misstatements in the prospectus has been filed by such person, then he shall be termed as under 447. Okay. Then section 36, punishment for fraudulently inducing person to invest money. Somebody is inducing someone that to invest certain amount in such company. Okay, he is forcingly doing so. He is forcing someone to do so, inducing someone. Okay, then it could be termed as a fraud. Under section 447, penalty has to be applied on such person who was inducing that person, inducing someone. Then the inducement of persons to invest money, here as per section 36 there is a punishment for such person. Then section 38, punishment for personation for acquisition of securities. We have already referred the section under first chapter. Personation, basically personation we have already checked which section it was. It was section probably 58. We'll check it once again. It's better now that if we check out the reference. 57, sorry. Then there is a section 57 of the Companies Act, where if any person deceitfully personate as the owner of the property or interest in the company, then their punishment, what punishment? Then it is 1 to 3 years, fine it is 1 lakh to 5 lakh. Okay. Then here we can come to the, if the personation of acquisition of security, basically for acquisition of security, they are personating that I am Amitabh Bachchan and this shares belongs to my daughter. He is personating that I am going to give this shares to someone, this and that. Then personation for such shares, it can also be termed as section. It can also be termed as fraud. As per punishment has to be held as per section 447 of the Companies Act. Okay. Now certificate of shares. Certificate of shares in term of section 46 subsection 5 of the Companies Act, cases of frauds with respect to issuance of share certificate attract a punishment with a fine of not less than 5 times the face value of the shares involved in a fraudulent duplicate. Basically share certificate case mein there is also section 447 comes into the picture. Section 56, transmission of share, we have already learned in our previous chapter that transfer and transmission of shares. Subsection 7 provides for punishment in the section 447, intentional fraudulent transfer of shares by depository or depository participant. This is in addition to the liability arising out of the Depository Act. Means कि उस particular act के according जो punishment है there is that is applicable. In addition to that 447 is applied. Okay, it's not like कि कोई भी चलेगा. Both act has to be applied and general special law prevails over the general law. Then first special law will comes into picture, then general law will come into the picture. General law basically what is? Companies Act is a general law. Okay, then section 66, reduce of share capital. Reduce of share capital, reduction of share capital, criminal liability for reduction of with the prior approval, without the prior permission of the tribunal. If we do so, if the company do so, then there is a criminal liability, and 447 attracts her. Section 140, removal, resignation of auditor for giving of special notice. The second proviso of this section deals with the punishment of the auditor who has, whether directly or indirectly, acted in a fraudulent manner or abated or concluded any fraud or in relation to the company or its director or officer, apart from debarring the auditor from appointment as an auditor or any company for a period of 5 years of passing the order. The NCLT, the auditor shall also be held liable under section 447. We have to discuss this section in detail. We'll discuss in next class. Okay, bye bye.